And chat, since we be back, that means it be time for some more franchise. Will this be our final season? That is the question. It could very well be, after what we saw last year with your Montreal Expos making the World Series only to get swept by the New York Mets. But hey, who's keeping track of that? Who's keeping track of that, right? So at this stage, for those of you who have forgotten, again, this is what the Expos look like this year in terms of a rotation. Last year's Rookie of the Year in Tom Bowers is your starter this year. Your ace, as it be told. So, intrigued to see what can happen. Of course, Dennis North is your closer. And again, lineup-wise, it's not bad. Still very, very much led by the likes of Pena and Frank Jones in terms of overall. And of course, for your Colorado Rockies, we have World Series aspirations, to say the least. Kyle Tucker's getting up there in age. Seth Beer's getting up there in age. A lot of lefties in my lineup as well. A couple switch hitters that I'm pretty happy with. So we'll see how that plays out. And of course, I definitely have the edge in terms of the rotation. That starting five, unreal. Two long relievers who could easily be in the rotation. I have no excuse to not win my division again this year and to not have one of the best records in the league. With that, though, I think we are pretty well set up to see how this plays out. Of course, we will have a draft coming up. It might be, admittedly, the least exciting draft so far because we could ultimately never see these guys play. There is a very good chance that one of us wins the World Series here, and more than likely, once somebody wins the World Series, we probably stop this and move on to something else. Again, I don't know if it will be an immediate, new franchise mode, despite those, up-to-date rosters being out with the whole Ryden rosters, or if I'm gonna, give an MTO a shot, which I haven't done yet this year, even though I don't need it for the Affinity anymore. In Diamond Dynasty, MTO is just a fun mode. That said, draft in chat, D-R-A-F-T. If you want a chance to make a selection in the upcoming draft, for now, we shall sim. Let's go to the end of the opening month and see what our teams are looking like here. We're focused on Montreal, and it is a pretty damn good start, all things considered. 17-7, but again, the Expos continue to be a thorn in your side. One more win than you guys with that extra game played. The Rockies are at 12-11. So the Expos living up to what they should be living up to. Not so much for the Rockies. We're seeing some struggling from the Rockies at this stage. My AAA catcher broke his arm. So no major injuries for either side. Not great. We'll follow along with Montreal still, though. They're the team that deserves to be followed along with. We'll hit the halfway point of May. A little bit more closer to 500 baseball at this stage. Montreal now at 23-15. So 3.5 games behind Oakland. The Rockies picked it up a little bit. Not bad. 7 wins in their last 10. Now 22-15. The Rockies are in a little bit better form. We'll follow along with them for the rest of the month. Heading into June. And it's looking very good for the Rockies. A slow start, but up to 33-19 atop the NL West. You'll love to see it. The Expos atop the AL West at 33-20. They're a half game up on Oakland. 8 wins in their last 10. What an end of the month for Montreal, including a loss here against the Angels that's hidden, but a win against the Angels the following Sunday. Both teams are looking damn good right now. We are 4 days away from the draft. Let's go to it. All right, so it is draft day. Rough run for you guys there against Texas, and starting off against the Dodgers. The Rockies, though, at 37-19, have won 4 in a row to start the month. So let's take a look at some stats here, as we do. We'll start off with the Expos and see where we stand here on draft day. And then, of course, we'll get an update at the All-Star break, as well as the award runners, I guess those leading the way in terms of awards at the All-Star break. Napoleon Silk is your winningest pitcher at 6-0. 30 walks, 68 Ks, a 3.80 ERA. You have Duncan Ponce at 4-4. Tom Bowers is struggling a little bit, to say the least. James Shim's looking pretty good. Scotty Vella and Anthony Mitchell have been abysmal, though. Interesting. So yeah, Bowers has been better than what his ERA indicates. Napoleon Silk's been pretty good, though. All right, so yeah, actually Bowers is better than what his ERA would indicate. The team defensively has let him down a little bit, but Silk's been phenomenal too. Everyone else needs to be a little bit better. So Bowers and Silk, your top two right now. In terms of relievers, 16 saves for Dennis North. 2 walks, 21 strikeouts. Jesus. Nielsen's there with him. Dennis North looks incredible again. Yeah, Dennis North's fantastic. Dante Nielsen is struggling a little bit, though. Might have to keep an eye on that and maybe say send him down. We'll double check at the All-Star break for changes like that. And then for the closers, Jose Mota was your Rule 5 pickup this year for pitchers. Arlo's whip is looking phenomenal here, too, but he's only pitched 9 innings. I don't know if maybe Arlo got hurt earlier or not. But in terms of some of the other numbers here, all positive WAR on the season. Your closers are all doing great. Everyone with a 3.8 FIP or lower. 2 guys with a sub 3, and Ostrander and Dukes, or not Duke, but Zeke Drew. So there you go. It does have 2 setup men, which is why Arlo wouldn't be there as much. Catcher-wise, Pena, 251 average on the season so far. 747 OPS. It's not amazing. You'd expect him to be better at the plate. You really would. First baseman Kevin Yorman. What a pickup that was. To whoever selected Kevin Yorman in the Rule 5, you did a good job. A 365 average through 200 at bats. With over a 1.0 OPS. Just destroying Michael Chen in terms of production. Like, he hasn't been miserable, but those two don't even compare. Kevin Yorman's been incredible. Eric Carvajal has also been incredible. A 346 average. He's up over a 90. And also over a 1.0 OPS. Yorman and Carvajal have been incredible so far this season. Frank Jones, not so much. A 233 average for Jones. I know Holdridge is at a 360, but he's only had 25 at bats. Unfortunate for you guys, Frank Jones, if he could get his shit together, you guys are looking damn good in the infield. Shortstops, oh boy. 304 for Garcia, but only 23 at bats. Derek Ramirez has been abysmal at the plates. Ibanez hitting 284 with a 736 OPS. So shortstop and third base need to figure it out at the plate. And the outfield, Bernardo Chavez hitting 244. Armas at 282. Both under an 8.8 at least for OPS. So both, are okay, not amazing, I would say. In center, Andreas Tejera hitting 244 right now. Carroll at 230. Tejera's been your best outfielder at the plate. Go figure. Corbin Carroll, not so great. So that's a look at the Expos right now as of the draft. To look at the Rockies, actually injured list. Charlie Brown, another AAA injury. Did you guys have an injury? Derek Gage broke his forearm. A couple of injuries to some better prospects there. That's unfortunate. So for the Rockies at this stage, 9-0, Lee Anthony. Look at Anthony and Pringle. I was worried about paying them as much as we are, but holy hell, was that a good decision. Wow. Barrett Lyons is at a 2.65 ERA. Batson at a 2.3 and a 2. My pitching's been phenomenal. Oh, Doogie, you're wasting your time drafting pitchers at Coors. Am I? Because I got some dynamite pitchers. Whew. Hot damn. This pitching staff right now. Torres is 5-0. Pringle 6-2. Anthony 9-0. Crushing it right now. Already has a 2.0 WAR on the season. Only one pitcher has over a 4.0 ER, or a FIP, I should say, over the ERA. That's ridiculous. Everybody except Ashcraft's under a 4. God Squad pitching staff this season. Holy hell. Donaldson's under a freaking 3. This pitching staff's been unreal. Of course, we only have 5 natural relievers here, too. I mean, 10 save. Look at the saves, though. What the hell? Every single closer has at least a single save on the season. That is bizarre. Holy hell, that's weird. Also, 2 walks, 24 strikeouts for Daniel Yamamoto. That's fantastic. Especially because his walks per 9, 55. But he's crushing it. All right, Chris McWilliams is getting lit up. Everyone else is great. Chris McWilliams is my worst pitcher this year by far. So, Chris, you got a little bit of time to turn it around. For catchers, Russ Gore hitting 344. Holy crap. A 271 for Hernandez. Both of my catchers have at least a 900 OPS. Jesus. Russ Gore, though, might take over for Alberto Hernandez. I thought Hernandez was the guy, but Gore has been unreal. Good God. First base, Marte hitting 273. Marquez only at a 227. Yeah, Austin Marquez has been trashed this year. Andreas Marte, clearly the guy at first base, an 803 OPS. At second, Bobby Jensen, no longer injured. 278 average. My God, Engel's been awful at the plate so far. Jensen with an 847 OPS. How nice it would have been to have him in the playoffs. Third base, Waterman, 213. Ugh. Collado, 292, though, in terms of average. Yeah, Broderick Waterman, my Rule 5 pickup. He's going to turn it on or he's going to get dropped. Shortstop, Tyler. Oh, my God. Tyler Freeman's hitting 301. Only 42 at bats, but Pena, 357. Those two have been fantastic at the plate so far, especially Freeman obviously has done it for more at-bats. And the outfield, Seth Beer, a 303 average. Steven Chen has gotten some playing time. He's at a 280 average. 927 OPS for Beer, a 786 for Chen. And then Kyle Tucker with a 308 average, a 219. Man, Borden's disappointed. Like, he's a stud, but he just hasn't been able to do it at the plate. He has a 250 average. 920 OPS for Tucker, a 707 for Borden. So both of our teams are looking damn good. No doubt about it. We go to the draft. And oh boy, 27th for the Rockies, 30th for the Expos. Get ready for our worst drafts yet. The Yankees, by the way, had the #1 pick. Now, in terms of compensation, I have a pick in the competitive balance round A. You guys have 2 picks in that round. And you also have 2 more picks between rounds 2 and 3. You have 4 picks between rounds 2 and 3. Holy shit. Well, this is the draft for the Expos with all that compensation. That's due to Meisner and Benson. So congratulations. Whew. With that, let's see what the Rockies can do. Of course, make sure to pay attention here because my scouting reports will be different than yours. If you see anybody you like, then let me know. Obviously, too, just try to pay attention. Try to make this as easy on all of us as possible to help this free flow a little bit. So to take a look at who I have available, in terms of catchers, absolutely fucking nobody. At least not that I know of. Hey, look, it's JP Spain without the S. First base, Thad. Good old Thad Moore. Thad Moore. Did that sound oddly sexual? I mean, it should. Look at him. Look at Thad. Look at those eyebrows. Fucking hunk. Yeah, Thad Moore might be a decent option. Aside from that, Joe Stevens, no. Herschel McCauley might not be that bad for a later pick. I have some picks that are worth it later on. What does everybody want? Thad. So if I don't take Thad, I could look for Herschel McCauley later on, but here's the problem. Anybody I can look at, you guys are probably going to take later because you have 17,000 picks. So all those complaints about, well, Tougie had those extra picks because of the money situation. We're even now. Good luck. Second base. Ooh, Phil McKinley. Phil's not that bad either. I might say hi to Phil. All right. All right. Thad Moore. Phil McKinley. I'm not going to look at the 70s right now. Or should I? My scouts actually appear to have found some decent players here. Okay. We got a shortstop. Kevin Plank. Might not have the best starting overall, but he's 19. And he's going to be ready to go in 3 years. Kevin Plank. I'd be trying to aim for high potential. I feel like he could be an undiscovered blue chip. Then in the outfield, is it Baez? Nah. In center, Andreas Mesa. Ooh. Man, there's some good players here. Paul Otto, take him to the Matthews Bridge. And then in right, Carlos Pinheiro. Eh. So I don't mind Mesa. For me, I feel like it has to be Plank or Moore if I take an outfielder, or I guess a position player. For closers, Edward Means. Not bad. He might give up some walks, but he's got potentially good break and good velocity. Shit control. He's 24. Edward Means. And there's also Bobby Burkett, but I know nothing about him. Johnny Clement could be taken later on. For actual relievers, Manuel Jimenez. And Jason Bailey. And for starting pitchers, Charlie Regan, I guess. I don't know about that one, Chief. Mel Terry. And Bernardo Saucedo. I'm not as sold on the pitchers, at least with the information that I have. Kevin Plank looks like he could be a Gold Glove shortstop. And I have my first baseman in Marte. Tony, what's going on, buddy? With their first pick of this draft, the Colorado Rockies are proud to select shortstop Kevin Plank. Kevin Plank is the pick. And now we go to the Expos. So again, in case you're selected, make sure you're paying attention. I don't care if you got to open a Word document. I don't care if you got to put it on your phone, write it down in front of you. I don't care. You should have a general idea of like this guy, this guy, this guy. Chat, what do you think? And then you can go for it. Please don't be like, hey, can you look at second baseman again? Can you look at left fielders again? Can you do this? Can you? We're doing it now, so pay attention if you entered the raffle. Thank you. So for catchers, you have one guy, JP Spain, who I had like no info on. Holy shit. So, you don't necessarily need a catcher because you have Richard Pena. Pena has no secondary positions. Spain might not either. But, my God, JP Spain could be unreal. You don't need him, but he might be the best player available. He looks great. He looks very well-rounded at 19. I mean, shit, if he falls to me in the next round, I'm taking him. Useless as a backup. Well, you don't know that, though. Like, you could have a split where it's like, well, Pena's good against righties, even though Pena's pretty well-rounded. Might not be the worst pick in the world. And Spain could end up with a different secondary position. It's happened before. So I'm just saying he's amazing. First base. I didn't take Thad Moore. For you guys, you have nothing on him, but you know for me, he's half decent. Only real guy to look at for you would be Domingo Rodriguez, who has some power. 21, ready in 3 years. Domingo Rodriguez could be a real power-hitting first baseman. I read it as useless catcher. I don't know why. Fair enough. So Domingo Rodriguez might be something to look at. Especially, too, you have Yorman. Michael Chen's about to turn 29 years old. You haven't been able to get Albert or Ashley to develop. Domingo Rodriguez to be the heir apparent to Kevin Yorman might not be the worst idea if it turns out we go many more years into the future if neither of us wins a World Series. We're going to go until somebody wins. Hopefully. Second base, nobody you want to look at right now. Third base, Chuck Nieve. Probably too high of a risk to select now. 70 potential. He'll probably have good attributes, though. That's a pretty big risk to take someone like Chuck Nieve right now. Plus, Frank Jones and Holdridge are on the roster, so you're probably fine. Shortstop, you got no information on anybody, which is unfortunate. In left, you don't really have information on anybody. Unless you were paying attention to my scouting report, of course. In center, Paul Otto. Someone who I had information on as well. Could Paul Otto be like a blue chip defense first outfielder? He could be. It's not a full report, so. And then in right, you also have Frank Cabrera, who you never know how good he might be compared to Otto, but the report's not nearly as full. So you've seen the top position players. In terms of pitchers, which it could be argued you have a pretty big need for pitchers. You do have Mel Terry, which right now his starting attributes, the ones in blue, look a bit rough outside of stamina and velocity. So it's interesting just based off of the report that you have there. Again, he'll be ready in 2 years. Apparently ready next year. Rob Schartner. Schartner. Who has a great name, but to be honest, the current stats compared to the scouted look kind of brutal. The 22-year-old Texan named Schartner also only has 3 pitches. You also have Fred Garlobo, 19 years old, apparently not ready for 4+ years. Not a full report. And again, the current stats look rough. Good velocity, but the current stats look rough off of the report. And the final guy is Donald Cato, who will apparently be ready next year at 22 years old. And again, the hits per 9, the Ks, the break, they all look a little bit rough. So you need starting pitching, but from the looks of it, high risk, high reward. Again, you could look at the 75s now if you wanted to, and I guess we will. Marcus Klein, same thing in terms of the current stats. It's not looking that good outside. Like, velocity and break are good, but the per 9s are rough. And he's 25, so how long does he have for that to develop? There is also David Johnson, which again, the currents look rough outside of the velocity than the break, basically. So maybe not the best starting pitching draft, at least off the info that we have. For relievers, you pretty much have Charlie Cram, which again, the walks, a couple of 50s in there. It's a little bit rough. There's also this 18-year-old Jason Bailey, which again, a lot of the per 9s look pretty rough for him. And then in terms of closers, you have 3 with 80. It's Bobby Burkett. The Ks per 9, the home runs, the control, the break, all pretty low. Yeah, it's pretty rough. Hugo Dove, 21, ready in a couple of years. Crazy Ks per 9. The home runs are pretty low. 5 options, though. 5 pitches for Hugo. He's an interesting one. You also have Johnny Clement, which again, a couple of 50s, a couple of 40s. Those per 9s, for the most part, are killing a lot of these guys. Might not be the highest overalls at this stage. So you've pretty much seen the best of the best. This pick belongs to Premium Bagel. Bagel, you've seen everybody that's available. Who's it going to be? You got someone like JP Spain, who's probably the best available, but not the biggest position of need. You got a lot of options here, I'd say. I mean, again, there was Spain. There was Rodriguez at first base. In the outfield, Paul Otto. You had the other guy as well with the the lovely name of Shartner. He's going for JP Spain. I'm kind of upset because I was hoping he'd fall to me. But I had no idea how good he'd be. You finally take your third catcher of this series. JP Spain joins Mariano Delgado and Richard Pena. That's a hell of a pick for you guys. Dude, he might have fallen to me too. Good pick, because I 1000% was going to take him if he fell to me. So for me then, it could be a first baseman. Again, I know Rodriguez is decent. I know Moore is decent. I don't remember Rodriguez's stats. I probably like Thad Moore a little bit more. Pun intended. If it's a position player, it's Otto or it's Moore. My relievers are starting to get up there a little bit. Eddie Means gives up some walks, potentially the lack of control. I just can't do it. It's just too unsettling. Again, Regan is here as a starter. Lack of control, the lack of break. Mel Terry, of course, they're not full reports, but being scared off by a lot of these starters. In terms of the outfield, again, it'd be Chen, Boyce, and Borden moving forward. I really don't have outside. Hannawell, I guess, is in the system. Chen, Boyce, Hannawell is kind of what I'm looking at here. Maybe Franklin Watts as well. There's an argument for either option. Endo, what's going on? Marte is so young, though. I mean, Moore can apparently play the outfield. That would be great if he could. Otto looks like he has a good arm, good speed, good steal, decent fielding. Passed out, fair enough. Thad for the contact, the vision, the discipline. Looks like a horrible outfielder. I'm going to go with my gut on this one. I feel like it's a risk, but I'm hoping that Paul Otto is a little bit better than is indicated. I need a bit of outfield depth. I'm going to take the center fielder, Paul Otto, with this pick. And that brings up back-to-back picks for the Expos. Bagel, enjoy the golf. Take it easy, buddy. You made an impact. This pick belongs to Popcorn Chicken. Chicken, again, hopefully you have some players in mind here that are left with like the 80s and the 75s. You guys get back-to-back picks. And to be honest, this next pick belongs to Milkshakes. So to Milkshakes and Popcorn Chicken, whoever can answer me first about who they want, you can technically pick first. It doesn't make a difference. But again, hopefully you were paying attention and have an idea out of the 80s and the 75s for who is available. Hopefully, hopefully. Thad Moore is still there. Indeed he is, Popcorn. Indeed he is. Another call out to Milkshakes here. Of course, Domingo Rodriguez was there as well. He's confirming Thad Moore. So Thad Moore joins the first base core. Milkshakes melted, perhaps. So Thad Moore is the pick. And if Milkshakes hasn't answered, then we are going to go to Brits. Congratulations, Brits. You get to pick instead, unless Milkshake wakes the hell up. So hopefully you had somebody in mind. You do have some options. There's still potentially 80 potential guys. Again, we'll start looking at the guys that have 75s and 70s soon. Sort by ETA. No. Because then you just get nothing but dudes that are 60 potential confirmed. Had a few guys, but they were picked. Hey, look at that. 65. 70s, and a bunch of dudes you don't have information on. Check out Terry. Mel Terry. Again, control, home runs, like the per nines and the control could be an issue. Potentially good velocity, though. He's 21. You guys potentially go for starting pitching. David Johnson. Again, some of the per nines are looking a little bit rough. Decent velocity and break. Stamina. Maybe not okay. Potentially a 95-mile-an-hour fastball for one David Johnson. Also wants to look at one Hugo Dove, who again gets a lot of strikeouts. The velocity looks like it's higher than what it's showing. He's an interesting one. 21 years old, gonna be ready soon. Not immediately. Brits, what are you thinking? What do you think? What do you think? Who will it be for the Expos tonight? I feel like it's already had the potential of being a pretty good draft for both sides. I feel like that's where we stand right now. And again, both these teams looking like they are very much on pace to make the playoffs. Did we look at Clement? And there is one Johnny Clement again. Just before it's even asked by Brits, there he is. Potentially lower stats. Good breaking ball pitcher, though. Looks like a decent option. What are we thinking, Brits? I should start putting a freaking timer. Your 5 minutes start now. DMCA'd. We're getting DMCA'd. Jaco, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. I am doing well. I'm doing quite well. Quite well indeed. What will it be, Brits? What will it be? I'm excited to see how this draft pans out already, just for our first few picks. He's going with Mel Terry, the starting pitcher. Pretty good pick, I'd say, given the circumstances. Mel Terry is the selection for Montreal. Shartner's off the board, but who I wanted is not. With this pick, the Colorado Rockies didn't get the first baseman they wanted, but they will get Domingo Rodriguez with this selection. Domingo, welcome aboard. And we'll see if you guys chose the right first baseman or not. The Spos are back on the clock already. The pick belongs to Mac. Mac, congratulations. The pick belongs to you as you get a look at some of the 80s and 75s that are left. In terms of other 75s, Priest and Klein are also there. Aside from that, starting with Charlie Cram, you got to look at everyone that has at least a 75, ballpark 75 potential. Hugo Dove is still very much there. As is David Johnson. Douglas Teeper. Not the Billy Weinstein. It's an unfortunate name nowadays. Rodriguez looked way better. We'll see. We both took a first baseman. I took a first baseman based off of your scouting. You took a first baseman based off of mine. There's your look at one Donald Cato. The Donald. The one who doesn't sit on Twitter all night. Like a 14-year-old. Or me. What will it be, Mac? What will it be? What will it be? Who will it be? Before we get into a lot of extra compensation picks, I think you guys have a lot of picks coming up here consecutively. Oh, excuse me. What will it be? Who will it be? There is a Bobby Burkett for your viewing pleasure. If it wasn't for the control, he'd be pretty solid. And Abraham Priest. Walks and hits could be an issue. It gets a lot of strikeouts though. Some high heat. For the Priest. Who will it be, Mac? Who will it be? Who is the pick for your chat's Montreal Expos? Do 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 do. Who will it be now? Da, 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 da. We keep waiting on the man to pick. Time keeps on slipping. How many songs? He goes with Clement. There we go. Johnny Clement, the closer, is the pick for your Montreal Expos. Johnny Clement is the selection. That brings up another pick for you guys. With basically everybody you were considering still available to you. Shout out to you actually getting compensation picks. This next pick belongs to Junior Skittles. Junior Skittles as well as AJ. So to the two of you. You can see the 80s that are remaining. We can go down to the 75s. But it's AJ and Junior Skittles that are on the board here. Hugo Dove is still there. Bobby Burkett's still there. Cato's still there. And again, in terms of 75s, Salcedo, Klein, Campaneris, and Johnson. Abraham Priest as well. I've seen AJ say something, and there's Skittles. He's going with Dove. Hugo Dove is selected. Skittles, thank you very much for that, making that nice and timely. You guys add another closer in the form of Hugo Dove. AJ, of course, this pick belongs to you now. Wanted to look at Donald Cato again. Again, some promising stats, but then you get into like the 50 for break, the 50 for Ks. High risk, high reward, potentially. Again, you don't have a full report on him. You don't really have a full report on anybody. Only 3 dudes left that were hanging around the potential 80 projection. Extra pitchers are never a bad thing. Especially for you guys. I mean, yeah, you have some pitchers, but also I do have the better rotation at this point, so. I want to look at one Fred Garlobo. Fred, honestly, you'd be hoping for a high potential because that starting overall could be brutal. He is 19, though. He'd have time to develop. So, in terms of position players, because chat keeps asking, you do have Kenny Campaneris. Good speed, good contact, good vision and discipline as an outfielder. AJ also asked about Dirk. I don't know where the hell Dirk went. He might be off the board. Unless there was no info on him. Dirk Lyle. AJ has no information on him, so nothing. I mean, you could go for Dirk Lyle. The problem is you have no idea if that's accurate. It's a red bar. You have no idea if secondary position's true. I mean, if you wanted to go for Dirk Lyle, you could. But that scouting report that you can look at can't be trusted at all. But you could argue there's a reason why he's up there in that range. Aside from that outfielder, in terms of position players, there is third baseman Chuck Nieve, who, again, I pointed out as someone who could be half worth it. He's not a shortstop, though. But, you know, maybe that secondary position changes to shortstop, or you move a third baseman over to shortstop, and he's not that bad. And then again, we continue down in the 70s with the likes of Greg Bart, who's terrible, in fairness. Irvin Smith, who's terrible, to be honest. Randy Rich, who's okay for this stage. Richard Borowitz, who's kind of meh. Jude Goggin, kind of meh. Other position player, Lewis Wheat. Well, now we're down to the 65s. So, I mean, you've pretty much seen everybody there. He's going to take the risk on the shortstop, Dirk Lyle. Worth the risk. It's worth the risk, I'd say. Dirk Lyle is the pick. And guess what? You guys get more picks. Campaneris and Bobby Burkett are off the board. 2 more picks here because, my God, the fucking compensation. Jesus. Next 2 picks go to Nick Roberts and that guy Daniel. So to Nick Roberts and that guy Daniel. Again, you have a bunch of players that you have no information on. For the players you do have information on, these are the best ones that are 75s to 80s potentially. And again, we can also look at the 70s if you want me to scroll down. But I see both of you in chat, so that's good. He's going for the starting pitcher, Okada, who I think is still there. He's not. Daniel, he's not there. I see no Okada. Unless you were talking Donald Cato. There is no Okada remaining. When the hell was he picked? Unless he wasn't a starting pitcher. Isn't he a reliever? Is he a reliever? I thought you said starting pitcher. Guess not. Maybe I looked the wrong way. Is he there as a reliever? Oh yeah, there he is, Stanley Okada. Fair enough. Fair enough, my bad. It'll be the reliever, Stanley Okada. Is he at least out of Japan? He is. So Stanley Okada is Daniel's pick. For 1 Nick Roberts. What are you thinking, buddy? So for those who've been paying attention, Cato's still there. Garlobo, Klein, Johnson, Priest, Saucedo, Smith, Lantigua, Randy Rich, Kurt Avery, Goldberg. There's a bunch of 70s that could be looked at here. Bunch of 70s that could be looked at. And actually, if we take a look here at catchers. So I mean, again, catchers, you likely to, here, we'll go through again. We'll go through again, all right? So here, let's reset. So again, for catchers, you got nothing. Like, the best one's probably Todd Crane. Let's be honest, he's probably going to be crap. First base-wise, you do have Randy Rich, who's not that bad for this stage of the draft. Randy Rich is okay. Looks like a good fielder at first base. There was also Irvin Smith. Randy Rich is probably better, but hey, if you want to say, well, risk it with him, whatever. And then you got like Dominguez at a 65, who's terrible. So if you were to go for another first baseman, which you probably shouldn't because you already took Thad Moore, Richard Smith looks decent. Second base, you'd have to guess with Valenzuela or Moreland. You'd have to guess. Third base, Borowitz, you'd want to bank on that ETA actually being better. You don't know if those secondary positions are actually going to be proper. As well, of course, again, Chuck Nieve is there. That secondary position could change because the scouting accuracy is not 100%. But, yeah, Chuck Nieve is probably the best available that we've seen. Shortstop, again, it'd be just pure guesswork. In left, Douglas Tipre is there. You can't trust that report, obviously, but he was projected at an 80, same as Roger Tavares. Jude Coggin, probably not worth it. Greg Bart, also probably not worth it. In center, I mean, you're down to 65s. I mean, a good fielding first guy in Jason Stallings. That's about it. And then in right, Cesar Crespo would be a guess. For starting pitchers, though, you still have Garlobo, Cato. You have a bunch of guys here in the 75 to 70 range. And like O'Neill, Yoder, like all these guys here have decent ETAs, so we could look at their stats. So there are some starting pitchers. Relievers as well, complete crapshoot. A bunch of guys still available, most of which you don't have info on. You do have information on Goldberg, Avery, O'Rourke, and Boswell. And then for closers, Priest is still there, Lantigua. So there's still a lot of pitchers available at this stage. So, what are you thinking then? What are you thinking? You've kind of gotten a full lay of the land. That's who you've already selected in this draft. Who will it be? He's going for Chuck Nieve. A good pick in my opinion. It's going to be very tough to compare these drafts, by the way, but he joins Dirk Lyle and others in the infield. Chuck Nieve, someone I had my eyes on, is selected by Montreal. So with that, I believe that's your final pick of the draft because you have a limitation on how many people you can pick. But obviously, you got all those picks front-loaded. Like, you have no 7th rounder, potentially. We'll see if they change that. So for the Rockies, I finally get to pick again. Holy shit, imagine that. Imagine that. Of course, I know Rich and Smith are half decent. God, these guys are all terrible. I was really hoping that Nieve would still be there. Kevin Cortez. Ooh. Kevin Cortez. 22. I don't mind Kevin Cortez. That's not bad. He might be my last outfielder, this Piedra, or my last position player. T-Pray I have. Ho! Ho, ho, ho! That power against lefties. You guys didn't have info on him. I do. Ooh, T-Pray. Maybe. Maybe. I don't mind that third baseman, but T-Pray could be something here. Interesting. And then for starters, funny thing is, I don't have as much information on starters as you guys do. I still don't think I'm overly impressed by anybody. Even Luis Gonzalez, there's some 40s in there. Again, there's so many relievers left. That's a complete crapshoot. Edward Means, the fact he gives up a bunch of walks, the home runs, the lack of control, like the hits and the lack of hits and the lack of Ks are solid, but there's some concerning stats there with Edward Means. It's got to be T-Pray or Means. It has to be. I'm a sucker for a power-hitting left fielder. I'm going to go for it, especially with how much my outfield's going to change here over the next few years. I'm going to take left fielder Douglas T-Pray and hope that this guy is as big of a stud as he perhaps could be. Montreal is allowed to pick again. So with that, the selection belongs to one Sam Besser. Sammy boy, congratulations. Hopefully you have a player in 9 to name in mind. Who will it be? Montreal's allowed to pick again. We just rolled the dice on a reliever. I mean, again, it's not a horrible idea. Outside of a first baseman, it's pretty much the best you got for an outfield spot, or roll the dice on Valenzuela. Your best bet, I mean, Crespo didn't look that bad for me. Your best bet is a pitcher. Again, you have a lot of information on these starters. And again, looking at your starters, Liberatore is probably gone soon. Shim's probably gone soon. An extra starter might not be the worst idea in the world. Tony, take it easy, buddy. You could still argue relief help. I mean, Ostrander's 30. Duke is 29. Moda's 29. North is 29. Rufus Rios is 28. I mean, your pitching staff's getting up there. But you wanted to look at Donald Cato. Who, again, you guys have looked at Donald Cato repeatedly. Repeatedly. Will you finally pull the trigger? Who will it be? Who will it be? He's going for the starting pitcher, Donald Cato. A starting pitcher added into the mix for Montreal, joining Mel Terry in this draft. Donald Cato is the pick. Rockies are up. Priest is off the board. Diaz, a lot of pitching just went off the board. A lot of pitching just went off the board. Yes, but not the guy that I wanted. Eddie Means. Oh, Eddie Means business is what he means. Edward Means, let's go. Yes, I got both guys I wanted. I hope it pays off. Whoo, I got the outfielder and I got Eddie Means. Please let that pay off for me. Montreal is up again. The pick belongs not to Premium Bagel, not to Milkshakes. We're getting into the repeat winners here. Doug Dimmadome, owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome, and this pick. Dimmadome, what do you think? In terms of potential, I mean, you see who's left right there. That's the list. No point in scrolling or nothing. It's going to be somebody off of that list right there. The question is, who will it be? Ambien, what is going on? It has been a while. I hope you've been well. Hope you've been good. Who will Dimmadome go with at this stage? To be honest, I don't even know myself. Are you going with Mendoza? Are you locking that in? Chancing it on a reliever. In Mendoza. He's locking it in. Andreas Mendoza. Or Mendoza. He spelled it Mendoza, I think. He spelled it Mendoza, in fairness. Andreas Mendoza is the pick for Montreal. He confirmed it. We move ahead. I can't believe there's still players left to be selected. Alright, who do we got here? I mean, literally, these are all the players that are left. This is hilarious. Roper's the only guy I have info on. He's not that good. Alright, so for me, I know you guys were looking at David Johnson a couple of times. I don't have information on anybody else, but I know David Johnson looked kind of okay. So I'm going to go with David Johnson. Kind of wanted another reliever, but I just got one, so let's go for David Johnson. Don't. No. Well, guess what? We're going for David Johnson. That brings up Montreal, and the Expos have hit the limit. You guys are done in this draft. You have hit the player pick limit. And that is it for the draft. I don't even get another pick. We ran out of players. So that draft is done. You guys hit the player pick limit. Done and dusted. One hell of a draft is the only way to put that. That was insanity. The amount of players selected, particularly for the Expos. So if this series were to go long term at this stage, I mean, if this were to go long term at this stage, I mean, this draft could have a very, very large, impact on what happens moving forward. Now, it's going to be tough to actually properly label this draft. Hit. Let's go with the in between. Meh. In between and miss. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens. We will look at Montreal first, and we start off with your number one pick. I can't believe he was there. JP Spain. 19 years old, 66 overall, but only a C potential. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Now, based on when you selected him at the end of the first round, it's not a hit. I don't know if I'd call it a meh, because at least he's a 66 at 19. I'm going to call him an in-between. For a late first round pick, I don't hate that selection for you guys. So I'm gonna be fair, and I'm gonna say if that was me, I'd call that an in-between. He's gonna be a major league ball player. So he's in between a hit and a meh. He's not bad. Thad Moore is that's a miss. If not an in-between a meh and a miss. Thad Moore, 19 years old, C potential of 56. I'd probably put him in between meh and miss. Just because he's young, he might still be able to develop. He's not a complete swing and miss. He has a chance. But those first two picks are a little bit more rough than I think was to be expected. But then you guys get a hit with Mel Terry. 21 years old, 67 overall, B potential, future starting pitcher for you guys for sure. Mel Terry is your first hit of this class. So a good pick there with Mel Terry. He's got a ways to go in terms of development for sure, but that starting velocity and stamina helps him out a lot. Then you get Johnny Clement. I'm going to put him in between hit and meh. He might be closer to a meh. The only reason for that is he's 22 with a 65, but he does have the B potential. I don't think you can call that an outright hit. But I also don't know if it's fair to call that a meh, because he should be able to make it, but he's got to grow like 10 overall points to be useful. I think I'd label that a meh, considering what we labeled your first round pick. He's not bad, but the problem is he's not going to be major league ready until he's like 25, minimum. He's going to go 10 overall points up. He's probably not going to do that in 2 years. It's going to be 3 or more. I'm going to call that a meh. He should make it. It's just going to be a while. Same for Hugo Dove. Year younger and overall point worse for Hugo Dove. I think that's fair to call him a meh as well. Maybe you could argue an in-between for meh and hit, but like they're okay. And instead of meh, we'll label it okay, because it sounds better. They're okay. These two guys in particular. They should make it, but like I said, for Hugo, you were 11 overall points away from being like a decent option in the major leagues. And how long is it going to take him to go up by 11 points? 3 seasons minimum. So that's okay. That's okay. You could argue for in between if you want. I think it's safe to say you only have one clear-cut hit, and that's Mel Terry. Dirk Lyles, not bad. Not bad at all. 21-73 and a C. I'm going to call that a hit. That was a late pick. A shot in the dark pick. That's a hit for me. He is almost major league ready out of the gates at 21 years old. That C potential hurts, but if it goes up, he's golden. He's already got major league caliber fielding. The speed, the accuracy on the arm hurts a little bit. That's a hit for Dirk Lyle. Basically someone who you could play in the majors next year. So, good pick there. Stanley Okada, I'm calling that a hit. Another shot in the dark pick, but he's a 67 at 19 years old with a C potential. I'm calling that back-to-back hits. 2 shot in the dark picks, by the way. No information on either of them. I'd call them both hits. They're both going to be useful players. So good stuff there with Lyle and Okada. Chuck Nieve, I'm calling that a hit. At worst, it's an in-between. He's just about major league ready, and for how late you chose him, I'm calling that a hit. He's 22, a 72. You could technically play him in the major leagues now with C potential. He's a switch hitter, really good contact. I mean, those are, 3 really good picks in a row, even with C potential. And then Donald Cato. I'm going to call him, he's an okay to in between okay and miss. I I'd probably put him as an in-between just because I think he could make it. Like, the fact he's a 64, like, towards his late 20s, he'll be like a low-end long relief option. And for how late you picked him in the draft, I'm going to be nice and call that an in-between. And then your last option here was Andres Mendoza. I'm calling that a hit. At worst, it's an in-between. He's a 63 at 18 years old. I'm calling that a hit. You guys knocked this draft out of the park with all these picks. 10 picks, half of them are hits in my opinion. Again, he's 18 at 63. See potential, but I still call that a hit. So all things considered, you guys had one of your best drafts to date. As you get a look at the full list of potentials there, you guys had a very good draft. And even though JP Spain wasn't as dominant as you wanted, I still think it's a pretty good pick. The biggest disappointment and the lowest overall was Thad Moore at a 56. You only picked one guy under a 64, 63 overall. That's a very good draft. A very good draft indeed. My opinion, I mean, I don't think I have a hope in hell of making this happen here, but all in all, yeah, I can't hate on that draft. Mendoza was just a C as well. So with that, we will take a look at your Colorado Rockies. Starting off with Kevin Plank. Interesting. 19B, but a 58. I'm not going to call that a hit. I'm going to call that probably an okay. I don't know if I can call that an in-between hit and okay. It'd be pretty close. I wish he was a 60. I'm gonna put him as an okay. I don't think I'm gonna put him as an in-between. Yeah, he's got a long way to go in terms of developing, so we'll start off with an okay. Next, Paul Otto, same thing. 2 years older. He's a 64 B potential, so I got the potentials. Marty has him as an in-between, that's fair. Paul Otto should make it because of that B potential. It's going to take him a while. I think same thing, I'm going to put him as an okay. You could argue if he's an okay that Plank should be in that in-between level, but regardless, neither's a home run pick. Nor is Domingo Rodriguez. Both first basemen we looked at, no one was a slam dunk. 21, 56, and a B. I think that's another okay. It's pretty clear you guys have won this draft already. I have 3 B potentials, but no one has that crazy high overall. T-Pray, not bad for a near shot in the dark pick. 21, 71 C. You could label that a hit if you wanted to. Probably an in-between, but he was a later pickup. I don't mind him. Eddie Means. Eddie Means is a miss, though. I had a feeling. 24 years old, it's a risk. I needed him to be like 10 overall points higher. I'll still probably sign him, but that's pretty rough. David Johnson was pretty good. 62 at 18. That's not that bad. So, all in all, I mean, I had a decent draft in terms of potentials, but yeah, no slam dunk hits, which is honestly I'm fine with because for the most part, I got some depth that I seriously needed. So both teams did very, very well at the draft, but of course the problem is now as Bagel drops the 5 gifted. You'll love to see it. Bagel, thank you for the 5. With that, you guys definitely won that draft. You definitely won that draft, I'll give you that. But remember, that is a draft that could very much be completely useless by the end of it, because one of us might still win the World Series this year.